Here's a candle, burning away, producing calming warmth and light. But I look at this as a chemist and think, what else is being produced? What invisible products are actually being made by this combustion of the wax? Well, what I'm going to be talking to you about in this video is the little experiment that we can do to show and prove what the products of combustion are. So, let's get straight to it. Okay, so let's talk about the products of combustion of our candle. Okay, so we're looking at fossil fuels. Many candles have waxes and sort of long, what we call hydrocarbons, long-chained hydrocarbons in them that come from fossil fuels. So we're looking at these invisible products. So the products that we can see, that we know are happening, is we've got some light, okay, because we can see the light, and we've also got some heat. Okay, we can see those things with our eyes, so we can observe them. Now, what there is also being produced is there's also lots of gases being produced, okay, from our candle. And they're colourless gases, ones that we cannot see. So let's investigate how we would actually identify what they are. So what we can do is we can capture these gases. Now this here is just an upside down filter funnel, okay, but what we can do is we can capture the gas and pass it into these tubes. Now these tubes that go from one piece of equipment to another, we call delivery tubes, of which we've got two. Okay, so we've got our gases, they're passing up through this delivery tube and they come to this first part of apparatus here. What have we got? Okay, well this is simply just a beaker, and inside that beaker is some ice. Now the reason we've got some ice there is because what that ice will do is it will cool down any gases that are flowing through this sort of U-shaped test tube. So we've got this U-shaped test tube, gases are coming in, captured in, and they're moving into the test tube here. Now what you'd eventually see is on the edge of this test tube you'd start to see little droplets forming. And you might even get a little pool just down the bottom here, as one of the gases that's present in our products condenses. Now, what's happening is this particular product of combustion is turning from a gas into a liquid, and it's now in its liquid form and collected in here. So what we can do is we can then test this to find out what that liquid is. Now, if you were doing this experiment in the lab, you'd look at it and you'd go, well, it looks like water, but we're chemists and we want to definitely make sure that it is water. So how can we prove that something is water? Okay, well, what we can do is one of three different things. Okay, the first thing that we can do is we can test it with something called cobalt paper, or cobalt chloride paper. Cobalt chloride paper. Now, if we test it with cobalt chloride paper, we'll see a colour change. Cobalt chloride is a blue coloured paper, and what happens is when we add that liquid, it will go from blue to a pinky colour. So we'll see a nice colour change. So we see blue to pink. Now the second thing that we can do is we can add it to something called anhydrous. And anhydrous means without water. Copper sulfate. Okay, now if we have anhydrous copper sulfate, that is a white colour, and if we add water to it, it goes blue. So again, we see another little colour change. The third thing that we can do, okay, to prove that something is water, is we can simply boil it, okay, and heat it up to boiling, and essentially, if it boils at 100 degrees, centigrade, that is, it's water, okay? So those are the three things that we can do to prove that that little product in the middle is water. So we've already identified that one of our products is water. Okay, now what about this last test tube? Now in this last test tube, we've got another chemical. The chemical in here is lime water. Now what's going to happen is our gas is going to bubble through that lime water. So, okay, well what does this mean? Well, lime water is the test for carbon dioxide. So, how do we know whether carbon dioxide has been produced? Well, what will happen is it will go from colourless and it will go to looking cloudy, which some people also describe as milky. Okay, so we've got this experiment here. We are collecting those invisible gases that are being produced by the candle, and they're passing through the first delivery tube. They go into that U-shaped test tube, which is in a beaker of ice and water. And what will happen is that one of the gases will condense on the side of that test tube as it turns from a gas to a liquid. Anything that's still a gas is then going to pass through the second delivery tube and into the lime water, and that gas will bubble through the lime water, and the lime water will go from colourless to cloudy. And what that tells us is it tells us that carbon dioxide is present. So let's have a little think about what this overall reaction is. So over here, what we've got is we've got our candle. Now for this, we're just going to say that our candle is the fuel. Okay, that is what our candle is. It's the fuel. We're thinking general equations here. Over here, okay, we've got our second product in here. So what's being produced in this? Well, we can prove that this is water. Our third and final product, okay, over here is going to be carbon dioxide. So we know that we've got a gas of carbon dioxide coming out the other end. Okay, so what we know about this is we know that we've got fuel and it's producing water and carbon dioxide. So I can actually write a general equation for our combustion. We've got fuel and it goes to water and carbon dioxide. However, let's have a little think about this. Fuel just turning into water and carbon dioxide? There must be something else. Over here, we've got this burning. I hope some of you are familiar with the fire triangle. And the fire triangle, something that you might have learnt about previously, talks about the three things that fire needs in order to sort of exist. Okay, you need a fuel, you need heat, and there's one other thing. What is that one other thing? Yep, it's oxygen. Well, where is the oxygen? Well, the oxygen is here. It's in the air. 21% of the air is oxygen. So as that candle is merrily burning away, oxygen is coming from the air and reacting with the fuel and the heat to maintain that burning. What we're then getting is the production of these invisible gases. So we can construct another general equation, or not another general equation, we can improve our general equation by actually putting oxygen into this as well. So down the bottom here, just on this side here, we've got a really important equation. Oxygen plus fuel goes to water and carbon dioxide. So what we've talked about in this video is we've talked about the products of combustions of fossil fuels by looking at a candle. We've talked about the equipment that we would use to do this in a lab. And we've also talked about the ways in which we can prove that the products are water and carbon dioxide. So hopefully this has been useful to highlight some of those things. And as we go into the next video, I'm going to be talking a little bit about candles in more detail and a little bit more about airs and pollution and how fossil fuels affect our climate. So thank you very much for watching. As always, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, like the video if you've enjoyed it, and I hope it was of some use to you. So, as always, thank you very much, and I'll catch you in the next video.